Alright, so I'm recording now. Hey guys, this is Green Valor. Today I'm just going to talk about a few things, because I haven't made a video in a bit since the mushroom trip. And I talked briefly in that video about a novel I was writing on. And I guess I'll talk about that and general things that are going on in my life and why things have been so fucking crazy. I haven't been able to really sit down and make videos. But presently, I'm writing a novel, and I'll go over that in a minute. But first, I'm going to explain to you what's going on. I've explained this in a few other videos, but explain it to the people. I've been working for a temp agency for a little while now, about 2 years. And since I've been working on Muench and the YouTube videos and a few other things, this is my means of income right now. But recently, I got hired by who the agency had me working for, which I've been trying to get hired on for a couple years now. Finally got hired on, and I'm making decent money now, which is awesome. So everything's looking up. It's great, and should be able to move out in about a year, maybe two. Probably want to find a roommate, save a bit of money. Ideally, I'd want to put a huge down payment on a house, but if that doesn't pan out, I got to move out anyways because it's just I need my own space and more of it. I got too much shit. That's basically how it is. I have literally nowhere to store anything. My championship trophy is a glorified coaster right now, so and all of them are just dusty as fuck. I'm too lazy to clean them, so I honestly don't know what to do with them. I might put them in storage or something. I don't really know. I don't care. I want the championship trophy obviously because I like that, but other than that, I fucking really don't care about all this crap. It's just I haven't touched it in years, and this room hasn't really changed much. But yeah, the novel. So career-wise and like job-wise, I'm pretty good right now, and this is why I want to crack down this novel, write this thing, and get this out and promote as much as possible. And I'll give you guys a synopsis. So right after I explain this, the prologue. The reason why I don't care about going over this with you guys is that the prologue is going to be free regardless. And when I do release the novel, the prologue is still going to be free. And I'm going to post it on the Moonchimps website. If I make my own website, I'll post it on there and post it wherever I possibly can. It's basically going to be, if you're interested in what I'm showing you, buy the novel. If not, you can look away. And I want to make it really, how should I say this, consumer friendly. So I don't want people to buy into something, into a story, into a narrative that they're not really interested in. And the prologue is just going to outline that. It's going to outline the story and where I'm going with this. So, the timeline, the date is actually set in, right at the end of the prologue. It's going to be about 2095 is where it's going to be at. That's where I'll leave off. But of course, at the end of the prologue, I am planning on doing a 3-year gap because the main character is going to be going through a transitionary period where they're becoming a bounty hunter, and it's going to take a 3-year time. I know I haven't explained shit about the prologue yet, so it seems so weird, and I'm not really explaining it that well, but I'll start from the beginning. So, in 2041, because I haven't touched this prologue in a few weeks either, so I'm trying to remember. In 2041, there's basically just like a problem with the world, and they're discovering this, that not everyone's on the same page when it comes to laws, when it comes to ethics, when it comes to principles. So what ends up happening is the UN decides to unify the world under one set of basic laws and principles. And this is just like, you can care however you want to about whatever your ideology is or whatever your beliefs are. Like, this is just my novel. This is how I want it to be produced. You may not like the message, but this is how, in my setting, this is how the world's going to progress. It's not necessarily how it will, but it's fiction. It's a work of fiction, so if you don't like it, you don't have to read it. But in my world, the UN decides that all nations need to agree to these core sets of principles and beliefs and enshrine them in law. And if they choose not to, they will not participate in certain activities or whatever. But what ends up happening is these nations oppose them so radically that they have to intervene. And this is the first wave of bounty hunters that come in, and they're actually more like like espionage agents. They go in, the first wave of bounty hunters, they go in there and they take out key officials and they rearrange policies. They get the right politicians in there to ensure that these nations that don't agree with the UN policies will agree with the UN policies because they get the right politicians in there. And it's sort of like shady democracy where it's not, where you're really doing some shit behind the scenes, but they sort of think like the ends justify the means. And yeah, I mean, that might, I haven't really written too much into the novel yet, but I'm thinking it's going to bite them in the ass in the long run, and it's going to create some interesting stories out of it. And this is the first. I had so many different fucking ideas for this novel. Like originally, I was going to have it like a novel series of like 7 books, and I was like, oh, look, I have a lot of material here, but I don't know if it's just going to take too much work for 7 books. I think I can do it in 1. Now I'm thinking I might have to do it in 2 or 3. I think I can do it in 3. The first novel is going to be about the protagonist, the main character, who is, when he's 16, he has a brother, an older brother. And when he's 16, his older brother, who's just a fucking genius. He's a chemist, and he has these crazy thoughts about social engineering and humanity and the ideal society. And there's an event that happens. Let me look at the timeline here. I gotta see when this happened. I'm pretty sure it's like in 2080. So in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, no. Yeah, it is in 2080. In the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, there's a volcanic eruption, and there's this miasma that permeates throughout this island that gets created from a volcanic eruption within the ocean. And the volcano just erupts, and then there's an island that forms around it, but the volcano's still there. It's inactive, and there's a lot covering it, so it won't really burst again, at least not for a long time, but it creates this sort of weird miasma around the area, and anyone who goes there just vanishes, and they can't explain why. So his brother, who's a genius and a chemist, decides to go to this island on an expedition team to try and research it, even though he knows the dangers involved. And the mother tries to get him to not go, and the father, who's, I guess, at this present moment, pretty opposed to him, and they have an argument. His father just tells him to go, and then his brother disappears, and his father regrets that, and then it causes a rift between the parents. They get divorced, and this is all happening, and for the main character, it's a big thing for them. It's character development. And this is all in the prologue, by the way, so like I said, like this is all going to be, like everyone can read this. It's not spoilers. You're going to be able to read this when I release it. When I'm satisfied with the product, I'll give you guys the prologue. You can read it. If you're interested, you can buy the novel when I finish it. I don't want any Patreon or anything like that right now at all, because I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not fucking sure when I'm going to finish this thing. And I'd rather just advertise it, get the word out, and get people interested rather than ask for money and then, I just hate that idea. I'd rather deliver a product, and then if you like it, buy it. If not, you'll regret your purchase, but at least you'll have something. You know what I mean? Like I hate the idea, like Kickstarter, the notion of promising something, and then who knows if you're gonna get it. I don't like that. So that's basically how I'm gonna do it, and the modeling. But there's a few other things that I haven't touched on in the novel. For example, there are 10 problem groups, and I'm not really sure how many of the 10 are going to survive when I do the editing, how I'm really going to work it out. But basically, there's going to be these problem groups, and they're part of a larger problem in society, and become a larger problem in 2080 during this volcanic eruption. The ones I'm working with right now are pedophiles, are one of the groups, rapists, anarchists, communists, National Socialists. I was going to go with Nazis, but I figured National Socialists it's probably easier to write around because they can take many forms. Like what I was thinking is that there'd be a group called the Order of the Fourth Reich, which because people have a very distorted view of what the Reichs are and what a true successor to Hitler would actually be, because it wouldn't be like the whole thing Hitler was talking about was that the Second and the First Reich were failures because they were empires, and somewhere along the line they failed, and he's going to succeed where they failed. So a Fourth Reich would have to be diverging from what Hitler believed in some way, because he failed in his mission, obviously. So the Order of the Fourth Reich would deviate from Adolf Hitler in some ways, and they might not even use a swastika as their symbol. I haven't even, it's just things like that I haven't really come together with, and I haven't really developed that well yet. But National Socialist is still a working thing in there. Sexual supremacists, these will cover your radical feminists, and I was even thinking about coming up with a group for like just some intersection where rapists and sexual supremacists, I don't know, but it's interesting to put in there, and I'm still working around with it. Like I said, this is just stuff that I'm working with. It's not set in stone at all. Racial supremacists, I just thought that was just too easy to put in there. You got your Black Panthers and your Ku Klux Klan members. It's easy to write with. It's already there. You got corporate mafias, who are those who would monopolize the market. But not only that, but they also deal with in criminal activity, because monopolizing the market isn't actually criminal in this future. It's once you engage in criminal activity or you engage with these certain groups, which the corporate mafias are. They're going to be funding a lot of these groups, so that's why they're a problem group. It's not that they're monopolizing things so much, it's that they're funding all these terrible groups, and that's what makes them a corporate mafia. The black market dealers, obviously people who deal in the child sex slaves and illegal narcotics or explosives or whatever is prohibited either by the UN or by certain governments, because there's still going to be a degree of national sovereignty in this future, and it's just that the UN has certain laws that everyone has to abide by, every nation, like murder and religious extremism, things like that will they believe will push the world in a better place, but they try and minimize it so that each nation has their own sovereignty and their own culture, rules, regulations, and that sort of thing. And again, it's going to be difficult to write around, but I'm going to figure it out. And of course, religious fanatics. So these are the Muslim Brotherhood. John was talking to me about a group called Opus Dei, which is it's more of a conspiracy theory, but it's very well researched, and I'm going to look into it myself, and that might be the Christians who I'm going to have there, and I might have a sort of Zionist group for the Jews as well. But basically, my idea is all these groups are going to be working together towards a common goal, and I'm not going to reveal too much more than that, because I don't really, like I said, don't know exactly how it's going to pan out. I'm still working on this, still brainstorming. This is just a prologue. I'm about 2.5 pages in. So, I don't know, I think just 2 full pages, to be honest. Just about 2 pages. But basically where I'm at now is because within these bounty hunters become more moderate over time. Now they're more of they deal with specifically the people in these problem groups who can evade the law, because cops have a lesser role. The military has virtually no role anymore in this future. It's more like bounty hunters take out the more serious offenders in society. And that's kind of how I'm developing it now. And over time, people become more peaceful. They work together better. And because of this sort of golden age that happened when the UN got all these nations together, it was an age of enlightenment for everyone, and they felt like they didn't need to be in such opposition anymore. But once these problem groups started to rise again, then the bounty hunters needed to come out, and they started hiring more. And how they're going to get funded is through companies, but also through the government. So any company or any individual really can ask to get a bounty placed, and they get approval from the government, and then they fund the cash, they fund the money for the bounty. And if they get approved by the government, then the government can issue a bounty, and then bounty hunters can take up the bounty, and they can go after the person. And typically, you're going to get arrested. You're not going to get, murdering. Originally, I was just going to have the bounty hunters go around, killing these people. But that's not really what bounty hunters do. Historically, bounty hunters, they can take them dead or alive, but really, mostly, they're going to be trying to arrest them. And this is going to cause some tension with the police, who feel like they're sort of taking their jobs away. because there's really no purpose in having more police, and there's going to get a lot of funding cut from the government, so there's going to be less police officers, some are going to get laid off, and it's kind of going to cause a problem between the bounty hunters and the police, where there's sort of a degree of animosity towards the bounty hunters by the police. And it's understandable, and it's going to be difficult to work that in. Again, like, a lot of this is new. I haven't written a novel before, but it really interests me. And there's a lot more that I just can't talk about. There's a lot of great ideas that, like, I know they're just going to spoil things. I know I'm just going to run with these ideas, so I can't talk too much about them. But the main character's name is Daniel Masterson, and his brother is Zachary Masterson. And I haven't gotten too much to the parents. I have other characters I'm going to introduce. These problem groups, I got to bring in sort of like head characters for these problem groups, so that they're a little more fleshed out. Their ideologies are a little more understood and what they want. There's also this weird plant that gets discovered, and I'm not going to reveal too much about the plant because I really can't. It's going to be in the prologue. You're going to be like, what's this plant about? I don't know. You'll have to figure it out, because I have big plans for this one, and I really can't reveal anything about that, and I know that for a fact. But this is what I'm doing with my life, and this is what I'm doing in general, so I'm hoping that I can get the prologue at least out there. Grammar isn't that great because I haven't really tried to write better. Basically, I'm just going to write the fucking thing and then go over it with a fine-tooth comb afterwards, fix story inconsistencies and grammar mistakes. But for the time being, this is what I'm working with, and I'm hoping that people get interested in it. I'm hoping that people want to read it. And when I get further in, especially when I finish the prologue, I'm going to upload it to muench.com. And I'll put a link in the description for the website on this video, and also when I update it and let you guys know, or whoever's watching this video, about what's going on with that. So, like I said, not going to do a Patreon, not going to do some fucking shilling shit, at least until it's, like, concrete and I know it's coming out and I have a set date for everything. And even then, I'm probably not going to do it, because I'd rather just you guys buy what I'm selling rather than donate to something that may or may not happen. But that's all, guys. This is what's been going on in my life. Things are looking up for Green Valor. Still smoking a lot of weed. I rolled a joint. That's a post-work reward. Still got to go back to the gym. Haven't done that yet, which needs to fucking happen. But again, just I keep procrastinating, delaying shit, like this novel. I haven't touched it in a couple weeks. I need to get at least 4 chapters in before John gets back from basic. He's in the Navy. So when he gets back from basic training, he's going to expect at least 4 chapters, because that's what I told him. So it doesn't have to be fucking perfect, but that's my goal. 4 chapters before he gets back. I want this book done, not really edited, just like finished by next January. That's my goal. Finish the book by next January. I want to have half of it done by at least the summer. These are my goals. Whether or not I'm going to complete it or not doesn't fucking matter. These are just my goals. This is what I want to meet. So anyways, guys, I got about 20 minutes before I got to leave for work. Just to let you know what's going on. I know this video's a little long, but I had to explain a lot to you. And I do hope you guys have a good day. Leave some comments in the description if you want to know a little bit more, or curious about things, or you're just pissed off with me, because I got that a lot too. Fucking socialists, diehard socialists, just losing their minds on me. By the way, it's something I have to explain to you guys. If you attack capitalism, if you blame capitalism for something, all you're doing is blaming the free market. Don't ever blame capitalism for something, especially when it comes to government policy. This is a problem I had with someone else in a discussion with about a video, and I made the video blatantly inflammatory. I understand that. I've been watching some Captain Cummings. Let me go here. And I made the video blatantly inflammatory, and I get that. What was this? New Zealand Prime Minister is a dirty commie. I said that just to piss people off. But she is a socialist, and in the article she does attack capitalism. The only I assume she's not retarded and she's well educated. Otherwise, because if you attack capitalism, all you're doing is attacking the market in general, which means you must be some kind of diehard socialist or a communist. You can't. The reason she's attacking, she says capitalism has failed us as a society, and I was a little bit of an asshole in that video. But the truth is, that once you attack capitalism, you're either blatantly retarded or blatantly misinforming people. You can't attack the free market in general. You can attack government policy. You can attack where we spend money on social services. But you can't attack the free market because you can't control the free market. The only way you can attack capitalism is if you want a controlled market. And if you want a controlled market, you're advocating for communism. Because communism is the end result of a fully socialized system. And that's the only real outcome you could otherwise desire, unless you have some new idea that we haven't discovered yet. You know, like Dave Mustaine says, you know, if there's a better way, I'll be the first in line. But until then, go fuck yourself. Like, you can't... I don't know. I hate when someone blames something and they don't come up with a solution, an alternative. They just keep fucking blaming something. They're shifting the blame onto something else. And especially when politicians do it, because politicians are in charge. You can't blame the free market when you're in charge of the government. Because when you're in charge of the government, you blame the free market, you're essentially advocating for revolution. Hey, don't do that. Don't fucking do that, because you embolden communists and you confuse people, like, especially, and you also worry entrepreneurs and business owners with that logic when you attack capitalism, when you attack the free market, when you attack meritocracy. But anyways, guys, this is all. I don't want to continue anymore. I gotta fucking... It's like already 21 minutes. So, Spin Green Valor. You guys have a good day.